Libya, a name that often conjures images of vast deserts and recent turmoil, holds a story stretching back thousands of years. It's a land where ancient empires clashed, where desert trade routes brought unimaginable wealth, and where a nation has continually fought to define its own destiny. Join us as we journey through the epic history of Libya, from the footsteps of the pharaohs to the challenges of the 21st century. Our story begins not with cities or empires, but with the land itself. The Sahara wasn't always the arid expanse we know today. Thousands of years ago, it was a savanna teeming with life. Prehistoric rock art in places like the Caucasus Mountains gives us a breathtaking glimpse into this lost world, with vivid paintings of giraffes, elephants, and ancient hunters. These early inhabitants, the ancestors of the Amazigh or Berber peoples, were the original masters of this land, their culture deeply woven into the very fabric of North Africa. Around the 7th century BC, a new chapter began on the Mediterranean coast. Greek colonists arrived, establishing a series of powerful city-states known as the Pentapolis, with Cyrene as its crown jewel. Imagine magnificent temples, bustling theaters, and schools of philosophy flourishing under the African sun. Cyrene became a major center of Greek culture and commerce, its wealth built on silphium, a medicinal plant so valuable it was depicted on their coins. The ruins of Cyrene today stand as a silent testament to this golden age of Hellenic influence in Libya. But the Greeks were not alone. To the west, another great maritime power was rising, Carthage. Founded by the Phoenicians, Carthage built its own empire, establishing trading posts along the Libyan coast, including Oa, which would later become Tripoli. For centuries, the Greeks of Cyrenaica and the Carthaginians of Tripolitania vied for control, their rivalry shaping the political landscape of the region. This east-west divide, a recurring theme in Libyan history, was born in this ancient era. Eventually, a new, unstoppable force emerged from across the Mediterranean Rome. After defeating Carthage in the Punic Wars, Rome extended its dominion over North Africa. Tripolitania and Cyrenaica became prosperous Roman provinces. The Romans were master builders and administrators. They constructed roads, aqueducts, and magnificent cities. Leptis Magna, the birthplace of the Roman Emperor Septimius Severus, was transformed into one of the most beautiful cities in the empire. Its grand arch, forum, and basilica, now stunningly preserved, showcased the height of Roman power and artistry in Africa. For centuries, Libya was a vital breadbasket for the Roman Empire, exporting grain, olive oil, and exotic animals for the gladiatorial games. As the Roman Empire began to crumble, so too did its hold on North Africa. Vandal invasions brought chaos, followed by a brief reconquest by the Byzantine Empire. But the most transformative change was yet to come. In the 7th century AD, Arab armies, fueled by the new faith of Islam, swept across the region. This marked a profound shift in Libyan history. The Arabic language and Islamic culture were introduced, gradually blending with the existing Amazigh and Roman Byzantine heritage. The coastal cities were revitalized, and the interior saw the rise of new trade routes across the Sahara, connecting the Mediterranean world with the kingdoms of West Africa. Camel caravans, the ships of the desert, transported gold, salt, and enslaved people, making the cities of the Fezzan region vital hubs in this trans-Saharan network. Over the next several centuries, Libya was ruled by a succession of Islamic dynasties, from the Aghlabids to the Fatimids, who went on to conquer Egypt. The region experienced periods of both prosperity and instability. Coastal cities were vulnerable to raids by European powers, including the Normans and the Spanish. In the 16th century, seeking to secure their North African flank, the powerful Ottoman Empire asserted control. For over 300 years, Libya was an Ottoman province, governed from Constantinople. During this time, the so-called Barbary pirates, operating from ports like Tripoli, became notorious in the Mediterranean, preying on Christian shipping and leading to conflicts with European nations and even the young United States. The Karamanli dynasty, a local family of Ottoman officers, carved out a semi-independent state in the 18th century, a period remembered for both its piracy and its flourishing trade. The early 20th century brought another dramatic upheaval. A newly unified and ambitious Italy, eager for its own colonial empire, set its sights on Libya. In 1911, Italy invaded, facing fierce resistance from Ottoman troops and local Libyan fighters. The ensuing Italo-Turkish War resulted in Ottoman withdrawal, but the Libyan resistance was far from over. For 2 decades, a brutal guerrilla war raged, particularly in the eastern region of Curenca. Here, a teacher and religious leader named Omar al-Mukhtar emerged as the symbol of the resistance. Leading a small but determined force of Senussi fighters, he used his knowledge of the desert terrain to frustrate the technologically superior Italian army. His eventual capture and public execution in 1931 marked the end of the armed resistance, but he became a national hero, the Lion of the Desert. Under Italian rule, Libya was subjected to a policy of demographic colonization, with tens of thousands of Italian settlers encouraged to move to the country's fertile coastal plains. World War II turned Libya into a major battleground. The North African campaign saw titanic clashes between the Allied forces led by figures like Montgomery and the Axis powers, commanded by the famous desert fox, Erwin Rommel. The deserts of Libya were littered with the wreckage of tanks and planes as battles raged around cities like Tobruk and El Alamein. Following the Allied victory, Libya was placed under British and French military administration. The war had devastated the country, but it also reignited the dream of independence. The United Nations, in one of its first major decisions, decreed that Libya should become a sovereign state. In 1951, the United Kingdom of Libya was born, a constitutional monarchy under King Idris I, the leader of the Senussi order who had been a key figure in the resistance against Italy. At the time, Libya was one of the poorest countries in the world. Its economy depended on foreign aid and the salvaging of war scrap. But that was about to change dramatically. In 1959, prospectors struck oil. It was a discovery that would transform Libya from a poor desert kingdom into one of the wealthiest nations in Africa almost overnight. The sudden influx of oil revenue brought rapid modernization, but it also created new social tensions and accusations of corruption within the monarchy. The simmering discontent boiled over on September 1, 1969. While King Idris was abroad for medical treatment, a group of young military officers, calling themselves the Free Officers Movement, staged a bloodless coup. The leader was a charismatic and fiercely ambitious 27-year-old colonel, Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi proclaimed the Libyan Arab Republic and embarked on a radical new course. He nationalized the oil industry, expelled the remaining Italian and Jewish communities, and closed American and British military bases. He championed a unique political ideology, a blend of socialism and Islamic principles detailed in his Green Book, which he called the Third Universal Theory. For the next 4 decades, Gaddafi ruled Libya with an iron fist. He used the country's vast oil wealth to fund extensive social programs, providing free education, healthcare, and subsidized housing. Literacy rates and life expectancy soared. However, this came at a steep price. All political dissent was crushed, human rights were systematically violated, and a pervasive cult of personality was built around him as the brotherly leader and guide of the revolution. On the world stage, Gaddafi positioned himself as a champion of anti-imperialism, supporting revolutionary movements across the globe. This led to international isolation and conflicts, most notably the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, for which Libya eventually accepted responsibility. By the early 2000s, Gaddafi sought to bring Libya in from the cold, renouncing his weapons of mass destruction programs and rebuilding ties with the West. But the seeds of discontent had been sown for decades. In 2011, inspired by the Arab Spring uprisings in neighboring Tunisia and Egypt, protests erupted in the eastern city of Benghazi. Gaddafi's brutal crackdown on the demonstrations quickly escalated the situation into a full-blown civil war. A NATO-led military intervention, authorized by the UN to protect civilians, provided air support to the rebel forces. After months of bitter fighting, rebel fighters captured Tripoli in August, and in October 2011, Gaddafi was captured and killed in his hometown of Sirte. The fall of Gaddafi's 42-year rule was celebrated as a new dawn for Libya. But the post-revolutionary transition proved to be incredibly difficult. The country fractured along regional and tribal lines, with numerous armed militias vying for power and control of the nation's oil wealth. A political schism emerged, with rival governments in the east and west, backed by different foreign powers, plunging the nation back into conflict. Years of civil war have left deep scars, devastating infrastructure, and displacing hundreds of thousands of people. Today, Libya stands at another critical crossroads. The journey towards a stable, unified, and democratic state remains fraught with challenges. Yet, the story of Libya is one of remarkable resilience. It is a story etched into the ancient stones of Leptis Magna, painted on the rocks of the Acacus, and carried in the spirit of a people who have endured empires, dictators, and wars. From the ancient Berbers to the modern Libyans striving to build a new future, this land on the Mediterranean has always been a place of epic drama and enduring hope. The next chapter in its long and complex history is still being written. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through Libyan history fascinating, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the stories that have shaped our world.